Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, Top 1 Financial Advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Today we need to talk about savings accounts. Yes, I know savings accounts are not the most sexy topic. It's not something we cover on the channel all the time, but it is something that I'm telling you is important for your investments, but also for your overall financial health. So in today's video, we're going to discuss obviously what are savings accounts, but why are they so darn important and where are some of the best places to go to start the emergency savings, why to have it, and how much you should put in it. Okay, so first thing is your savings account for me gives you two major protections. Number one, that is your first buffer before going into debt. So if something, I pray nothing happens to my car, but if something were to happen to my car, I don't have to go and take out a personal loan or a credit card loan at 20% interest. I can say, look, I've got enough of my savings. I can cover the majority of that expense, or the majority of the expense, or a good chunk of it, or all of it from my savings account, and avoid going into serious debt and paying years on that debt. That's what that savings account is for. Something happens to the house, something happens, I have a family emergency, that's what that savings account is for. Because if I don't have it, there are two other places that people will typically go. Now, you can go to family, that may or may not be good for some people, but you're either gonna go to a credit card in most cases, or you're gonna go to your investing accounts. And that is the other thing that your savings account helps to protect you from doing. The reason why you don't wanna go to your investing accounts, if it's a retirement account, and you're under the age of 59 and a half, in some cases, you can pay a 20% penalty, 10% for early withdrawal, and then another 10% perhaps for income taxes. And that's not something that most people want to do. So imagine you got a $1,000 emergency. You go to your investing account, you pull out $1,000 and you end up with $800, and you still have a $200 gap because you forgot that you had the early withdrawal penalties, that you had to pay income taxes and everything in between. And that's not assuming that the stock market didn't drop on the day that you tried to pull those investments. That's not great. Also, to make things even worse from pulling from your investments, that makes this an even tougher decision, or a more difficult situation here, is that once you take that money out of the investing account, especially if you're spending it for something, that's money that's not going to grow in the future. So if I take out $10,000 today and I go spend it on something, even if it was an emergency, that $10,000 could have grown to $100,000, $200,000, depending on how long I would have kept that money invested for. So it can be extremely expensive when you're pulling from your credit card or you're pulling from your investments. Those should be some of the last resorts. Now, are there some ways you can pull from your investment accounts and avoid taxes or do so that don't have a penalty? Yes, there are, but that still is going to get you into the opportunity cost. That is what you could have made if you left it invested versus not have taken it out. So there's that. But the main thing is you can avoid all of this by having a good savings account and having it fully funded. What do I mean by fully funded? When I talk about fully funded, I mean having at least 6 months of your rent or mortgage. Now, most everybody else and every other book is going to tell you 6 months of your total expenses. I agree. That is the best absolute metric that you should have. You should take all of your expenses, multiply it by 6, and have that as your baseline minimum goal. If you want to have 12 months, fine. You want to have 18 months, fine. If you want to have 3 years, you're doing a little much. Okay, the rest of that money can be invested. But if you got, let's say 6 months at a bare minimum, that's great. The reason why I say rent or mortgage is because of this. You know, first of the month, what your mortgage is, what your rent is. And you can easily take that and multiply by 6 and instantly know. Not everybody knows off the top of their head without a budgeting app or an Excel sheet, which everybody don't have, to say this is what I spend on all groceries and everything else. It is better to have 6 months of your expenses, okay? It's better to have that. However, realistically, if you got 6 months of, like mortgage is $2,000, that times 6, I'm good, then that's going to give you a little bit more confidence, and it's going to be very concrete. You know that you have a roof over your head for 6 months in case, not just the market crash, but the job market crashes, something bad happens, car repair, blah, blah, blah. You know you absolutely have that. So that is why I use that particular metric. Again, I'm not disparaging 6 months of your overall expenses. If you know what that number is, please do that. But that is a baseline goal that you should have. Once you hit that, I say become more aggressive on investing in other places. If you want to stretch it out to 12, feel free to stretch that out to 12. But again, having that savings account, that is the buffer that's going to prevent you from going into debt. That is the buffer that's going to prevent you from going deeper into your investing accounts, and is a thing that can be the cornerstone of your entire financial life. Anytime you are sitting down in front of a financial advisor, or anytime you're reading most financial books, most sane financial books, that's the first thing they're going to tell you: save. Okay, pay yourself first. That's where it all comes from, because when you don't, those priorities are out of order, and then things start to get a lot more difficult for you down the line. And I've had calls with hundreds of people at this point in my career about, hey, I got credit card debt, I got student loan debt, I'm trying to invest, I'm trying to save for my kids' college. What should I do first? I say, well, how much do you have in savings first? Let's start there. Take care of you first, right? You can make minimum payments on your debt, which is not always the best thing, but you got to take care of you, because if you shove everything at paying your debt without paying yourself first, the very first hurdle that you run into, the first time you stub your toe, the first flat tire you get, and it's always something, first medical bill, you're going to go right back into debt, and that's going to only extend it. The only way to slow that down is to start saving for yourself, okay? That is the cornerstone. Everything else becomes a lot easier from there. Now, how much did you have? We already talked about the 6 months, but like, how do I build it up? Because you're not going to get, most normal people are not going to have, in 2 weeks, have 6 months of savings just there, right? It can take you years to do that, and that is totally fine. What I would do is go to whether it's Marcus Bank, that's a bank by Goldman Sachs that pays a pretty high rate, Ally Bank. Depending on when you're watching this, these banks could change names. They could also change rates. So just Google highest paying online savings banks. NerdWallet will usually give you a very solid list to pull from too, with the most up-to-date rates. So I would go there. Aside from that though, go in, decide what it is you want to save, and do a recurring deposit. That's the most important thing for you to do. So if it's 10% of your take-home salary, let's say you make $1,000 a week, just to make things super simple, that'd be $100 a week, automated from checking to a separate savings account. Okay, I want to make sure that these things are separate. Okay, separate. You don't want to have a savings account inside the same account that you are going and spending, your bills on and going to have fun with. I see that mistake a lot. I used to see a lot when I was much younger. My clients were much younger. Now that we're in our 30s, moving on in our 40s, I don't really see that happen as much, which is good. But you might be in your 20s. I don't know. Y'all are watching YouTube. Everybody is different ages, okay? But aside from that, you'll make sure these things are separate. Personally, I like to have them as separate banks. So if I am banking at Ally, and that's where I use my checking, then I want to have my savings at Marcus Bank, or even American Express Bank. I like them too, where I don't see it, I don't look at it, and every 2 weeks, every week, it's the automatic $100, $200, $300, $50, whatever it is that you can afford, goes automatically to that savings. And over time, when I'm not paying attention, every 6 months or so, maybe every year, I look back and say, oh look, I have a lot of money in my savings account. So you want to make sure that it is automated. That is the absolute easiest thing you can and should do. It comes out just like your taxes. You don't notice it. Then that's the point. You want to not notice your savings build. And as you have that, once you hit that goal, you are free and clear to aggressively tackle your debt. You're free and clear to more aggressively tackle your investing. But the only way that you're going to be able to do that smoothly is by building up your savings and focusing on your savings. If you have to slow down, in any other area, it is usually quite worth it to do so, because again, pulling out your investments will hurt you long term. Okay, you may think that pulling out $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 might not hurt today, but over 20 years, you're gonna look back and say, man, that $10,000 could have been, 3, 4, 5 times higher. That can be expensive. Paying off your debt and being debt free is awesome. That is a great goal to have. But if you pay off everything, you have nothing in savings. What happens when something unexpected occurs, right? You have zero in savings. You can go right back to the credit card because you have no other option. So you have to make sure you take care of that home base first. I talk about it a lot in my book, the SIP system: Save, Invest, Protect. SAVE is the first acronym there for a reason, because that is going to be the bedrock of everything that you do: financial, investing, savings, pay off debt, all that stuff starts with savings. Okay. Again, if you want to look for the best savings account, you can really just go to NerdWallet, because again, rates are currently changing in 2023. Like every month or so, rates do go up, and who's paying the best does change quite often. So you could be watching this years from now. I'm telling you now, Just go to Know Wallet, search for the best online banks, and it's going to tell you which one, and make sure you set up that recurring deposit. Okay, that is the importance of having a savings account, where to start, and which ones are the best. You got all those options and all those things to help you out. All right, that is it for us today. As always, make sure that you join our members only. It's only $10 a month. We do exclusive videos each and every week. We do deep dive breakdowns into the stock markets and to the questions that you ask. And it's absolutely worth it. So you want to make sure that you join our members only by clicking that link right there. All right, that is it for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.